Hey, good evening, y'all. Welcome back to some more minor league esports. I am here to rejoin you once again. My name is Ice Cold Brew, and I am joined with Pi R Squared. How are you doing tonight? And did you enjoy that music from our sponsors over at APM Music?
Oh, absolutely. And I also enjoyed the prior series that we had with Master League, with the Elite taking down the Flames in 5 games, 3-2. And I'm hoping for a little bit more of this contest from the Eclipse taking on the Wolves here in Academy League. I expect a lot more fireworks, as these teams appear to be pretty evenly matched based off of, what we have on paper.
From what we have on paper, yeah, we have some pretty close looking stats right now, with the Eclipse just a little bit higher at 14-11, but they did go 2-3 last series. What we have on the field with the Eclipse at the moment is Blue Mage Mikey on 11-5, Dula and Stag, all of them at an 11-5, perfectly even across the boards. Meanwhile, the Wolves went 3-2 in their last series, bringing them closer and closer to that division lead position, facing off with Game Gang, Squab, and Violet Akuma, who I believe is a very new pickup for them as well, too.
Could be a new pickup for them, and could be, speaking of, pick M's, as we prefer to call them, the community voting in favor of the Eclipse in this series, 54% of votes coming in for them. So it's going to be interesting. It seems a little bit closer than what we had on the community side of things in the prior series, and based off of, again, the proximity of both of these teams, also in the standings and also in the statistics that we keep track of, it's not really too early to talk about playoff positioning, and this series itself could go a long way to giving them the advantage, whoever ends up winning it.
Yeah, and honestly, I like the underdog. I like the Wolves. I do feel very good about the Wolves' position as well, too. I think we've had a lot of upsets in the past few series with the Sabres blowing through the Blizzard and the Elite just smoking out the Flames. So now we're going to see if the Wolves can do the same to the Eclipse as we start off on game 1 here with Blue Mage Mikey immediately starting with a demo on Game Gang as well. Violet Akuma.
Dolo will take the ball from the backboard, Game Gang. And we talk about demolitions. Blue Mage Mikey going all the way out of their position to demo Boston Squab on the back line. Akuma will take their time as the ball ends its way into the corner. Blue Mage Mikey with a challenge, and Boston Squab will get a 50 on the ensuing touch, put the ball out towards midfield.
Now we have Stag, puts the ball up on his car, flicks it over, but a little bit too far, too high as Game Gang takes possession, but Blue Mage Mikey getting physical once again, gets that 50. Akuma, she's taking the ball all the way down to the corner, right to Stag, though. Stag takes it off the side, looks to get a chance. Squab comes in, takes it off Stag's hood. Dula with the save from the shot by Game Gang. Now Violet is looking for a chance to bring that ball down off an aerial. Instead, backboards it. Squab a bit too far back, but that's okay. Blue Mage Mikey taking up the corner, wants to bring it down. See Stag jumping for the ball there, but unfortunately they can't make that connection. And still the Eclipse looking for another chance to get a point, goes by as that ball bounces out around the net.
And the shot opportunity almost goes in and finds its way into the net, but one of these things about Academy League is that there's a lot of space that's being given by both teams in the middle of the field, and whoever's going to be able to take advantage of that space most effectively to set up their offensive pushes is probably going to be the ones who are going to take the series. And talking about taking advantage of space, Boston Squab gets a great roll from middle of the field, and they end up not having to touch it at all, as Stag not able to get contact on it to set it away, and it's the Wolves who strike first.
Yeah, and very impressive touch by Violet Akuma as well, too. She just recognizes that Mikey is going right for her, and instead opts to pop it up high, keep it a little bit forward, takes that demo, but makes it nice and easy for Squab to find the back of the net. And just the Eclipse, very unaware what was going on in that play, caught out unawares. And now we see Game Gang tries to get a 50. Blue Mage Mikey takes it around him, though, going up in the corner. Challenged by Squab, goes out to half court, back to Dula, but Squab still keeping it alive, pops it up high. Unfortunately, can't get that pass to Violet Akuma as Game Gang takes it back into the corner and tries to keep the Wolves ahead right now.
Blue Mage Mikey, they're going to get bumped off the ball as they try to take it low on the dribble. little miscommunication from Boston and Game Gang in the middle of the field means that Dullo is going to be able to force it out towards midfield. They'll collect the ball off this near side wall once again, trying to get a follow-up touch. They'll take the boost instead and forego the ball and kind of leave Blue Mage Mikey in a little bit of a disadvantageous position. Violent Akuma comes screaming in, trying to get another touch to get around the third man, and they're not able to do so. And with 2 minutes left to go, you got to really start thinking about when the Eclipse are going to start putting things together on the offensive end, because right now it's all Wolves.
Right now it's all Wolves, and we're still seeing a little bit of miscommunication. Squab going for a rotate back, but Game Gang gets it, and then there's the cross up right there. Blue Mage Mikey taking that ball, Stag sending it off Squab, deflecting it a little bit too hard on the side, and Violet and Squab just couldn't do anything while Game Gang was trying to get in time for the net, but Blue Mage Mikey put a little bit, just the right amount of power to get that game tied up. Still, like you said, 2 minutes to go though.
Absolutely, and one of the things about that, Boston has the right idea, right? You want to take that ball and put it in a position where it's not threatening to your team. However, they would like to get that a little bit further downfield and not so much power on it that it would rebound immediately into the middle of the field. Be that as it may, they've still got a lot of time to work with, and they're going to go for a bump. Our Game Gang trying to get Stag out of the way and jumpstart things on offense for the Wolves, and there it is, Game Gang in the right place at the right time to put that in right on the near post, and they take the advantage once again.
Game Gang was coming in out of a bump too, and just saw Violet taking that ball down and just immediately turns around waiting for that bounce and pops it right between the defenders. There's not much you can do as the Eclipse in that moment outside of maybe try to force Game Gang into a more awkward situation, but it just didn't work out in their favor, and now we see the Wolves back up in the lead, but Stag isn't done yet. Takes that ball off the ceiling, no boost though. Dula takes the 50, pops it up high, tries to get it over to a teammate, but we see Akuma take that ball. Game Gang and Squab double commit on top of it. Game Gang trying to pop it up, try to bring it off the backboard, not enough force behind it. Ball finds its way to Squab though. He said that's good enough for me and brings it bar down and in.
Yeah, they found the perfect touch. After having a little bit too much of a heavy touch earlier, which led to the goal for the Eclipse, they put just the right amount of power on it to get it off of the bar and find that favorable bounce to go bar down and in. Now it's finally a multi-goal lead for the Wolves to work with, and they've got just over a minute left to defend it. And the Eclipse, they're scrambling back towards their own net. They've got to find something. They got to find it quickly if they're going to be able to find their way back into this game. The Stag, they get it past one, and Game Gang's the only one back, and Stag unfortunately doesn't have the boost in order to pursue the ball immediately. They'll get it past one. Can they put it in the midfield for their teammate? Dullo was up early, and Blue Mage Mikey gets beat up by Game Gang, and now it's all in favor of Boston Squab, scrambling down the net to put their third of the game, actually. They get a hat trick in game number one, courtesy of a fantastic challenge in the middle of the field.
Game Gang, smart play, sees that ball pop up right center, and the last Eclipse player, I'm not sure who it was, but jumped up to contest, really needing that point, and unfortunately just finds themselves in a deeper and deeper deficit. But maybe Blue Mage Mikey can put it on. No, bounces off the backboard, heads upfield. Now Game Gang keeps this momentum going. Blue Mage tries to jump for it, doesn't have the boost to follow, so Violet Akuma comes in, deflects it upfield towards that corner to Stag. Stag takes possession, going to Dula. Dula demo Squab for the 50, but 10 seconds winding down. We're looking at the first game going in favor of the Wolves, and with them firing fairly well on all cylinders. Oh, Dula just barely missing that shot there, and that ball's going to come down as Dula tries to keep it alive for a second. Good game.
Absolutely a good game from both teams, but especially on behalf of the Wolves. They kind of started out a little bit slowly, but they were able to get the first goal to go through, and after a tying goal from the Eclipse, they're able to put 3 unanswered in the net. And honestly, like we talked about early in that game, it's coming down to, I think, a little bit too much space in the midfield for the Eclipse to have to deal with. And one of the things that I think would help with that is if they shorten up the rotations just a little bit more. The fact that they're going all the way back for boosts when necessarily they don't have to. I know it's very tempting to want to have 100 boost all the time. The fact that they can pick up pads go around in a little bit of a circle in the midfield and keep the pressure up. Maintaining that, I think, is what's going to give them more advantageous positioning and allow them to step up on offense.
Yeah, not only that, I am for the demos. I'm for the bump plays, but you have to find an optimal time to go for those demos. The first couple points came out in favor of the Wolves because there's just a charge by the Eclipse in order to get rid of one of the players on the field, and that just left more opportunities for them. Violet Akuma was able to take the ball off the side of the wall and bring it down within striking range of Game Gang. Game Gang and Boston Squab just being able to break away and get an easy point. Also, little stat sheet fact I noticed, Boston Squab's technically 3 for 2. He is 150% on shot accuracy right now.
Always a good thing when you can put in more goals than you actually shoot. But I mean, the Wolves, they're starting right where they left off in this game number 2. Boston Squab trying to put another shot on target. It will go just wide. They'll look to collect in the corner. They get it past 1. They get it past 2. Can they get it past 3? Stag trying to help them out, but Violet able to put that safely in the corner. Game Gang called into action at the brink of that ball crossing the line. We'll get an epic save for that effort. And now it's finding itself all the way down, and still the Wolves hounding the Eclipse early in this game too.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Blue Mage Mikey right now because I saw him not just miss one or a couple small pads. I saw him miss a huge opportunity to keep that play going forward just by opting for the ball more than boost in some situations. Just little tricks of boost pathing will make the difference for the Eclipse right now. And as we see Stag take that ball off the wall, he still has 30 boost, but gets boomed out a bit too far for him. Blue Mage Mikey goes to contest. Akuma sends it off towards the center to Gang Gang, who puts it back up the corner. Violet trying to get a center gun. Blue Mage Mikey with the demo. Boston Squab takes it up to the backboard. Gang Gang's coming in, but it's denied by 2/3 of the Eclipse defense on that back line.
And I would think I would like to see a little bit more communication amongst the Eclipse. That cross that came in wasn't necessarily the most dangerous because there wasn't a player from the Wolves able to receive that pass. However, the Eclipse defender in net acted like it was a life or death situation and threw their car at it when they didn't necessarily need to do so. And now the Wolves are going to wish they threw their cars at that ball a little bit more proactively, because that one just finds its way into the back post off of this fantastic challenge in the middle of the field. And Game Gang, I think, unfortunately, was expecting the first person for the Wolves to make contact with that ball. However, it's the goal that the Eclipse needed.
It's the goal the Eclipse needed, and now we're seeing a little bit more life in them right now, but also kind of heartbreaking a little bit that one Squab couldn't get that touch, and Game Gang, because unsure of what to do, probably expected to come off the crossbar. But now comes down out of the corner. Soft touch brings it down, but still has possession right now. Able to get past 2 defenders there. Blue Mage Mikey, last one back. Stag gets bumped by Violet Akuma, and the double play between the 2 of them shoves that ball, confuses that back line.
It confused me because Game Gang's going in there acting like they're going to be the defender themselves. But I mean, I think it ended up working out because it slowed the ball down just enough that Stag ended up committing a little bit too early on that ball. And man, that would have been something if he ended up getting a goal stolen by your own teammate. But all things being equal, we're back to a level playing field with just over half of the game remaining. And the Wolves, they've got a little bit more momentum, and they're feeling a little bit better, and they'll probably be able to laugh that one off come the next time that they're able to take a shot.
Yeah, I would love if someone went back and got a clip of that and sent that in for play of the week, !POTW in the chat. More because I just think that play is very fun to watch. Just how confusing it was and breathtaking it was. But now Stag tries to get it around Akuma, cannot get it around her. She is wall, as we've seen being said in the chat. But now Game Gang takes up to the corner. Stag immediately puts his horns back into it, gets those antlers in, blocks that shot. Dula comes in, helps out, gets that save with the help of Blue Mage Mikey. Ball going back into that corner, though, just loving that corner at the moment. Dula, soft touch, sends it down. Game Gang can't complete. Akuma comes in to try to help out, but instead loses track of the ball in the flurry of bodies and the way for He booms that ball all the way back into that corner, and the Wolves are still maintaining the aggression with their pack tactics at the moment.
Maintaining the aggression, and then finally they're going to get something to go somewhat in the vicinity of the middle of the field. We've seen a lot of play confined to not only the near side corner, but also this far side corner as well. And the Wolves, for all that the effort and all of the pressure that they've been able to put on, they haven't necessarily generated anything that's looking quite dangerous aside from that shot there from Boston Squab. And they're going to try and do some a little bit more. Akuma, it's going to go off the bar and off of the backboard. Squab racing up top, trying to get that down, and the Eclipse are able to direct it out towards the side wall.
Stag gets a block on the shot from Game Gang, takes it up the side, but unfortunately that's a 50 in favor of the Wolves. Dula and Blue Mage Mikey both panicking and jumping for it right there. A little bit of miscommunication. Ball still alive. Game Gang sees an opportunity and takes it for himself.
Yeah, and I think this is coming down to the communication issues that I think we reflected on earlier in this game. The fact that they didn't necessarily have to panic, but the fact that they ended up taking a little bit too less time than they needed to ended up putting not only themselves but their teammate in an awkward position to try and make that save. And the Wolves took full advantage of that, and props to them, because not only were they able to put the pressure on, they were also able to take advantage of the mistakes that the Eclipse are making on defense. And now, with under 30 seconds left to play, the Eclipse got their work cut out for them. It's a little bit more manageable than what we saw in game one, but they're still down nonetheless.
Blue Mage Mikey, no boost to use. Neither does Dula. Eclipse fighting for boost right now. That ball's heading to the corner pocket. Stag able to deflect it up and away. Hopefully the Eclipse can keep that ball up high, but Squab might be looking to get a ground touch. No, Akuma pops it up a little bit higher, a little bit more dangerous. Ball comes to ground though with that demo by Squab on Blue Mage Mikey.
They were going to let him have it. The Wolves were, it seemed like they were happy to let the Eclipse try one more time, but then they thought better of it and said, you know what, we'll take the game win. And in a little bit more of a defensive struggle than we saw in game number one, the Wolves, my goodness, they still put the screws to the Eclipse in terms of the possession numbers that they had on offense. And through the run of play, we kind of saw that play out. You know, we had a lot of possession in the corners, and they were able to a couple times take advantage of the mistakes from the Eclipse in order to get those 2 goals on the board. But the Eclipse, they only come up with 3 shots, and they spend a majority of that game in their own half. They're going to need to find a way to step out of that half and put more possession together in order for them to find their way back in this series.
Yeah, and I think the hard part is right now is whether they bang the ball, there's one back for the Wolves. If they try to maintain possession, someone immediately jumps and tackles them immediately and disrupts their hold, throwing it for a 50, which typically wins in favor of the Wolves as well too. Violet Akuma getting a ton of 50s in her favor, which is kind of why she doesn't have a lot of saves, but she is such a strong defensively minded player. It's so disruptive. The Eclipse need to kind of talk about what they need to do next and figure out a game plan before they get surrounded by the Wolves once more, as we go into game 3 on Sovereign Heights, with Violet Akuma winning that kickoff at Stag, putting that ball up in the air. Going back to Blue Mage Mikey, off to the corner to Boston Squab.
They try to follow up their own touch. They're not able to do so, but they will collect the ball in the corner. They put it infield for Game Gang, and they come all the way down, and Dula's got an open net to shoot at, but they can't get around it. They couldn't get around it, and the score still remains 0, but the Eclipse aren't done yet. Can Stag catch up to this ball? No, not before Game Gang is able to come screaming in from the corner and make the save. And that, ladies and gentlemen, could have been the best opportunity that the Eclipse might see this entire game, but it goes by the wayside.
Yeah, now Blue Mage Mikey, strong pop-up, Boston Squab chasing after it, gets it pinned against the post, gets that save. Gang Gang also shutting down Blue Mage Mikey with that demo as well. Takuma, she's looking for a chance to pop that ball into the net. Stag gets bumped, but it's able to flick it back. Gang Gang tries to put it on, but goes a little bit too high onto the backboard. Still maintains aggression though. Gets that 50, ball popped up. Violet Akuma sends it up high. She wants to get a touch on it off the ceiling, but instead it will roll down right past her, flying a bit too low for air clearance on that one.
Yeah, both of these teams, the benefactors of a little bit of miscommunication on the offensive end, and Violet Akuma, try and get a double tap off of that backboard. They end up getting it, and they'll walk it in for the first goal for the Wolves. And you gotta say, the Eclipse really should be at least tied. They would have had an earlier goal had somebody told Dola that, hey, you've got a lot of time to work with. Take your time, get around the ball, make sure you put a shot on target. And then the Wolves, for all intents and purposes, they should have 2 goals in if it weren't for the unfortunate mistouch on the goal line of the Eclipse. But they're fortunate to be up by 1 due to the fantastic fruit of the labor of Violet Akuma. But man, the communication breakdowns are really starting to show through for both teams on the offensive end. But they still got a lot of time to play, a lot of time to rectify that.
A lot of time to rectify it, but yeah, I think a lot of these misrotations and just miscommunication plays can be boiled down to first-time stream nerves. But at the end of the day, you have to just realize this is just like any other match. It's just like any other game. You just have to be playing 5 of them in a row. Don't think about who you're playing with. Good bump from Blue Mage Mikey. Almost puts that ball in.
No.
Dula comes in, takes that pass. The Wolves is not able to scoop it out in time. Smart play there.
It's a great bump, and unfortunately for Boston Squab, they had the right idea. They tried to get around it, but unfortunately that ball moving a little bit too fast. And even if they got behind that ball, I don't think it would have mattered because Dola was coming in to make that play, whether or not the ball was in a position to be shot. So now we're back to an even footing, and another demolition comes through from the Eclipse onto the Wolves, kind of stifling out that early push from them, but they still find the ball in the corner. We've seen this a lot throughout the entirety of the series. The Wolves really like to play that possession-based style where it doesn't really matter if they're not getting a ball in the middle of the field to actually take a shot. They'll just play possession and kind of eat away at the clock, and at some point eventually they'll find a way through. Now it's them trying to find something. Blue Mage Mikey gets a dunk in the midfield, but Boston Squab finds a way to get back to the ball. Stag with a shot on, and that post is doing them no favors, and it goes all the way out to the corner. We still remain tied.
Defensive MVP every year. Dula gets a right pass, not one, but I think 2 defenders on that play. Just a mistaken double commit from Violet Akuma and Squab there. Runs it off, and Blue Mage Mikey comes in for that cleanup too.
I'm not sure if that was an intentional double commit, or it kind of looked like one of the players might have bumped to the other on behalf of the Wolves and sent them flying into the corner. But either way, the Eclipse will take it, and they'll take a 1-goal lead. Now Stag, outfield for Dula. They get a touch through. Can they get a follow-up on it? No. Boston Squab doesn't get a touch either, but they'll get bailed out by Game Gang and force it all the way down to the end for the Eclipse. But it's a missed touch in the middle of the field. Austin not able to put a shot on target, and now it comes back to the quarter for Game Gang.
Violet Akuma tries to get a pop-up, has it on target. Blue Mage Mikey backflips, not in a good position to make a defensive play there. Gets caught out by Akuma, and she just sends it right to the center of the net there, especially with that help from the bump by Stag.
Absolutely. I think they got a little bit more speed on that thanks to that bump than they would have gotten otherwise. But I mean, sometimes the best thing that you can do is just throw a quick shot on net. The defense obviously wasn't expecting that on behalf of the Eclipse, and now the Wolves will take advantage of it. But back to an even scoreline, 2-2 with just 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Demolition behind the play from Dula, but it doesn't matter because for the moment the Wolves are on offense. Kuma tried to put a shot on, but it went responded by Stag, who carries it out towards midfield.
One thing I'm really liking about the Eclipse offense right now is they aren't trying to force demos. They aren't really trying to force plays too often. If they get a bump, they get a demo, it's because they're rotating through that way. But still the Wolves game plan right now of just getting strong 50s, charging the players when they know they have someone back on defense, when they know they can challenge them and make a safe 50. It's still working in their favor for the most part, but guy hand to the Eclipse right now. They're changing up their game plan and it's working in their favor, at least for the moment with this 2-2, with 30 seconds coming down on the clock.
Boston gets beat out by Mikey on the backboard, and Mikey will rotate through and leave it for Stag to try and collect the ball as it goes to the corner from Akuma. Pops out to the middle, but nobody's there for the Eclipse. 50 in midfield leaves the ball available for Akuma, but they get challenged again by Blue Mage Mikey. Game Gang takes it high. A potential air dribble. They have a backboard. They have a double touch. No. Blue Mage Mikey available on the backboard to clear this one all the way out. As we enter 0-second time, can the Eclipse put a shot on? Dola coming from midfield. They're not able to do so, and we have our first overtime of this series.
First overtime. And I'm kind of feeling that the Eclipse might crack under pressure right now. But we're going to see what happens here as Violet Akuma takes the ball, tries to start an air dribble play, instead takes it to the corner. Stag puffs it up in the air, but Game Gang almost puts a shot on target, just gets deflected barely in time by Stag. Ball flying back to that corner by Violet Akuma's challenge. Ball on the side of the wall. Stag loses control. Swab takes it right back. It doesn't have the boost to continue playing, but that's on the backboard. Game Gang tries to knock it down. Unfortunately, not able to find it, so Violet Akuma tries to fix the situation here.
And a little bit of miscommunication again on behalf of the Eclipse, but they're able to put it to the safety of the corner. Stag trying to put it infield for somebody, and that somebody is Akuma. And that ball just careens off of that crossbar. A dunk from Dola in the middle of the field. They'll collect that corner boost, but not before Game Gang strikes it back towards their own backboard. And Akuma have a shot opportunity once again. It goes just high and wide. The Wolves circling the net, but now it's the Eclipse on a fast break. Can Game Gang get back? They can, and direct it into the quarter. And a lot of back and forth. This overtime has become a track meet.
Yeah, and right now I'm still feeling like it can go either way, but unless that ball goes right to the center, Game Gang deflecting Stag's touch. Dula needs to bring it down. Blue Mage Mikey's bit back, but sees the mistouch from Akuma. Squab able to flick it out to Akuma. Akuma pops it up high. Stag tries to send to the corner. Breakaway, double demo between Blue Mage Mikey and Violet Akuma. Now Stag trying to maintain control. Mikey comes in on spawn on the right side. Sends that ball up towards Dula, who sends it to the side. Wolves still maintaining possession, still fighting for that ball, just trying to keep a hold on it and just break this wall that the Eclipse are trying to overshadow them with.
Absolutely. It's really looking like it's gonna come down to who's gonna make the first mistake, and might as well force the mistake with Game Gang trying to take advantage of a 2v3 opportunity as they remove one of the Eclipse players from the field. But the Eclipse are nonplussed, and they'll try to put that in the middle for someone to defend. Blue Mage Mikey is on a 1v1 opportunity with Game Gang, and it goes just too far off of the post. Neither team getting the benefit of the doubt from these posts. The woodwork stifling them equally at all opportunities. But still, just over 2.5 minutes played in overtime. Looking for the breakthrough. Game Gang collects in the corner and gets dunked immediately by Dola and comes all the way across to the near sideline.
Stag gets his horns in it, puts it back into the corner, but Akuma's already on top of it, showing a little bit of ferocity on it. Comes down on it, just misses a touch though. Now, Game Gang takes the ball, booms it up the field. Dula wants to control that touch, but oh, dangerous place there. Now Stag tries to come off the wall. Instead, changes his mind, goes right back to it. Dula keeps it alive, is trying to get it around the defenders here. Game Gang bounces back, tries to get a dunk on Akuma, but she's able to get the save. And now Stag maintains the hold, flicks it over one, but needs to get another touch, cannot find it, so Blue Mage Mikey pops it up high onto the ceiling and into the corner.
Dolo will take a shot quickly. Squab with the second save in as many opportunities. They definitely prevented one go-ahead goal by being the last man back in the midfield, and a screaming shot they absolutely put themselves in front of. And now Stag trying to get a favorable 50. It's there for Boston. Can they put it in? Dolo will deny them on the goal line. Blue Mage to collect in the corner. They get a 50 on Akuma, and they'll take it past two. Game Gang intercepts in the midfield. They grab the boost, so they have boost to work with. They get it past one. Can they get it past the last remaining one in Stag? No. And it goes into the corner once again. Stag on the fast break. They got one to beat. They get a 50, but it goes just wide.
Stag, smart play trying to take that dribble, but now Dula is coming in to keep that pressure on the Wolves. Blue Mage Mikey getting a bump in the backcourt. Stag pops it up high towards that backboard. Violet Akuma misses the touch, but so does Stag. Ball going up the side of the wall by Squab. Squab centers it. Dula's already there. Wolves just a bit too far away, and that time Stag goes in for another 50, pops it up high. Dula continues that, keeps the pressure going. Squab again just keeping this ball up in the air, hoping somehow it will center in the Wolves' favor, go around the Eclipse and give them an opportunity. But unfortunately, it just keeps going against them. It just buys the Eclipse more time to get back on defense and keep that pressure going for when they shift gears to offense again.
Both teams playing very safe, not wanting to give up the mistake that will lead to the game-winning goal. We've now played an entire game's worth of Rocket League in this overtime period as we pass through 5 minutes. The ball finds its way to the hood of Dulla. Blue Mage Mikey will rotate through and grab that corner boost, trying to establish that boost advantage late in this overtime period. Game Gang will launch a shot on, and Dulla was backwards and awkward for a moment, but they do the best of what they're given to take that save and put it outfield for Stag. Stag off of the backboard to Blue Mage Mikey. Can they get there? They're beat out, no, by Game Gang. And now it's a 1v1 turning into 2v1. Can they infield? No. Dulla makes the save once again, but the Wolves are still pressing.
The Wolves are still pressing, and they've gotten closer and closer to that goal. Blue Mage Mikey almost misses the touch, but Dula was there. Got bumped into the save as well, too. But that ball's still alive. Squab keeps it in the corner, brings it down, tries to center, heading towards the net. Dula gets a save. Blue Mage Mikey centers it towards the midfield. Dula pops it up high. That's dangerous positioning for the Eclipse right now. Can Game Gang get it behind the net? Blue Mage Mikey comes in, cuts off his teammate. Ball heading towards the net. Can Dula get a save? Pops up high once more. Akuma on the backboard. We need one more. Stag with the save again. Eclipse just trying to stay alive. Dula has 7 saves on the stat sheet right now, and they are doing everything they can to just stay in this series.
Oh my goodness, it's the culmination of a minute or so of straight pressure from the Wolves, and they had the Eclipse scrambling, if only for the last 15 seconds or so, and now it's the Eclipse turn to go on offense. They're trying to get the boost. Dulla will put it high towards the backboard. Akuma doesn't get the touch that they need, but it'll go towards the opposite corner nonetheless. Blue Mage Mikey trying to work that corner and put it in towards the middle of the field, but they're not able to do so. Now the Wolves on defense. Akuma will take possession, trying to get a touch in towards the Game Gang, who is available on the opposite side, but they don't get that touch. Now Dula will force it towards the opposite side.
Stag already in the back corner, but Game Gang pops it very high. Stag has coming off the backboard, dodges the demo, ball almost rolls in. Very fortunate break for the Eclipse for the ball to just come off the post. Deflected by Squab, heading up the half court. Back to Blue Mage Mikey, tries to put in the corner, but more pop than speed behind that ball.
Oh, no.
Goes to challenge. Akuma tries to get a touch on it, cannot find that connection, but Squab might be able to find it off the backboard. No, Dula booms it out towards the field. Eclipse need to maintain possession. If they can just hold on to possession, if they can just keep a cool head here, as Stag tries to keep the touch, but no, it's going to go in favor of the Eclipse. I mean, the Wolves, I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness. After 7 minutes and 45 seconds of overtime, the Eclipse make the first blink on defense, and the Wolves are there to capitalize on it. My goodness, what a game. And Dula had themselves a game, breaking 1,000 points. Now, obviously, they had a long overtime period to do that, but 8 saves, like you mentioned, in the waning minute of that overtime period. You couldn't really ask for more of a fantastic performance from them. Definitely doing their part to keep the Eclipse in that game, but unfortunately, it was just one mistake, and that cost them.
And oh god, it has to hurt too, especially with Dula getting 8 saves and Stag getting 3 as well, just doing Dula has 1,000 points on the score sheet. This has to hurt, but also we played the equivalent of a game and a half with this game 3, but now we have the Wolves taking the series. Not going to say anything else, but I was right. I felt like the underdogs were going to take it, and the Wolves are a type of dog, and they did take it, in fact, for the series.
They definitely do have that dog in them, and you know what? It's not like for lack of trying from the Eclipse either. They had their own opportunities in that overtime period, but the Wolves, I think, definitely got to them. in terms of the pressure that they were able to mount. And if you scramble just a little bit too long on your own defensive end and in the overtime period, you're gonna fall victim to rotational mistakes, positional mistakes, and losing that boost battle that you have. But now it's up to the Eclipse to show us what they got in the remaining 2 games of this series. They can certainly put a fight up against the Wolves, that was we've seen throughout the first 3 games of this series, but now it's on them to show us what they can do. As Stag puts it off of their own backboard, and it's there for Boston Squab, puts it high. Akuma will put it into the corner once again, as the Wolves doing their best as to reiterate what they've got going in the first 3 games, as they like their possession in the corner.
And my question is, where's the mentality is at for both teams? Because we're running a 7-minute, 45-second overtime can exhaust you. I do imagine the Eclipse are going to be able to get a couple games off of this. That also depends on where their mental is at as well too. Are they more fired up, realizing that they had all these chances to get another point and dropped it just from one misstep in order for the Wolves to take that series? But now we're kind of seeing the Wolves still with a fire in them, still with that dog in them, just charging ahead, putting shot after shot, while the Eclipse have yet to put one on net. But maybe they can find it here with Blue Mage Mikey, putting it on the inside post and in.
And we saw in the earlier game that the post wasn't really doing anybody any favors on either team. It was rejecting all advances at all opportunities, but they get a little bit of post luck as that one finds the inside, like you said, and bounces in. And now it's the Eclipse who go ahead early, and they can use this as a sort of springboard for their momentum, because now they don't really have to worry about trying to break the defense of the Wolves, but they got to make sure that they play defense themselves, because Game Gang off of the kickoff just says, hey, we'll take a little simple air dribble and we'll go one touch through. And Stag unfortunately went a little bit too low on the near post, and that's the equalizer with just a minute and a half played in this game number 4.
And again, folks, exclamation mark POTW. There was a smooth play like that aerial dribble from Game Gang. Put that in for play of the week for this upcoming episode of Open Net live Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And now we have the Wolves deflecting, almost a misstep there, but the Eclipse stepped out a bit too far. Now Blue Mage Mikey going demo chasing on Game Gang, going for a little bit more violence for payback for the series win, and wants to keep the Eclipse up at least in some kind of way, just getting a couple more games to put on their stat sheet, at least to show this won't be a full clean sweep for the Wolves. Oh, Violet Akuma taking off the side of the wall for a double tap.
I mean, you were talking about play of the week earlier. I mean, how about this from Violet Akuma? Just, you know, show what you got. Absolutely flexing on him with that double tap off the bar, off the ground, and bouncing it in to take the lead right back for the Wolves. I mean, you talk about coming out of an extended overtime period. They ain't looking flat at all, are these Wolves? They're looking like they're trying to get that sweep.
To quote chat right now, she is hurt. Just Violet Akuma coming in from the 3/4 across the field, takes that ball to the post, and then follows it up with a nice touch right inside the post, right through the defenders. That's play of the week material. Come on, y'all. And Gang Gang almost taking off the ceiling there. Violet Akuma comes in trying to get another goal for herself, but instead gives it up to Squab, who puts it in the opposite side. The defender's just not able to coordinate there. Just a bit of miscommunication on the Eclipse side.
Absolutely. You would have liked to see a little bit of a better clear from that one, but I mean, you're driving at it backwards. There's not really a whole lot you can ask for the defense there, and unfortunately for them, it means that Boston Squab able to snipe that bottom corner and give the Wolves a multi-goal lead with just over 2 minutes left to play. So now the Eclipse, we're going to find out exactly what they're made of in terms of, are they going to be able to bring it all the way back, because it's an open net. If Blue Mage Mikey can get back to it, and Akuma coming off the demo spawn makes the save.
Now Della tries to get another touch on it, but no, Stag maintains control. Della gets a demo on Squad, but Gang Gang wants to get it out to Violet Akuma. Stag booms it upfield, but Akuma is already on top of it, has it on her car, tries to get a dribble going, but cannot maintain it as Blue Mage Mikey takes it off. Now we have Gang Gang. Chance here. Della sends it off, gives it over to Stag, who tries to do a pinch to get that ball, keep that ball alive. Stag going for a redirect here, but Game Gang shuts it down, sends it to the corner. And now the Eclipse trying to find a little bit more life in themselves, but are getting tossed around and eaten alive by the Wolves.
Gang Gang will put at least looked like a shot attempt, and Stag takes it to the dribble. They get their pinch themselves, but not before Squab ends up beating them to the punch. 2 players commit for the Eclipse, and ends up being a ball for Akuma to try and take advantage of, but they leave it for Squab. Puts it down onto the hood of Dulla, who will break out, grab that mid boost, and try to pursue the advantage for the Eclipse. They get it through, but it's not on the frame of net. It'll go harmlessly towards the opposing corner, or Squab will take advantage of and push it towards midfield.
Akuma gets a demo on Stag. Dulla pops it up high. That looks like it has an angle going to the net, but no, Game Gang shuts that down. Sends it back up to the corner. Game Gang still maintains control for the Wolves. Gives Viola Akuma a chance to go for that touch. And now Squab looking to get a read center. Game Gang also jumping up on it. Dangerous double commit from the Wolves. But they're out here having fun at the moment. Akuma doesn't want to center the ball, but all the Eclipse have jumped for it and missed it the entire time. Game Gang takes that ball. Dulla sends it off to the corner. Demoed by Game Gang. Stag dribbles. Tries to keep it down to the ground, but Squab's on top of him. Sends it off and away to the corner. Wolves want one more to take home with them. Eclipse want one more for the next game just to keep that energy up, keep that morale high. But Stag not able to make that touch. That ball goes to ground.
And now the Wolves, after playing approximately 5.5 games already, will move to game 5 in the position to complete the 5-0 sweep on this Eclipse team. And saw a lot of fight from the Eclipse in this game, and unfortunately for them, they weren't able to keep the ball out of their own net after jumping out to that 1-0 lead.
Yeah, brooms are getting ready to come out. We're about to see, I believe, our second sweep of the evening as well, with the Wolves posed to just overtake the Eclipse. And the Eclipse it's the double commits that are doing more and more damage to them, just drops and lapses in communication, making it more and more difficult for them to coordinate. And then every now and then it's just the positioning as well too. I've seen so often one of their players coming out of the net driving backwards, trying to get a touch on the ball, and just makes it more and more difficult for them. As we come onto main field tonight for game 5, Wolves looking for a clean sweep.
They might get it, but the ball in their own corner, and Dulla tries to get a touch. Game Gang, after falling off of that sidewall, ends up on the ball. Leave it for Stag. Stag versus Boston Squab. Squab will get the better of that challenge, and they'll burn their boost to try and get back to it. It's cut out by Blue Mage Mikey, who puts it almost past Akuma, who was screening down the midfield. Fortunate enough to get a touch on that ball and hold up the attack from the Eclipse. But Stag gets 50'd by Game Gang, and they get 50'd again. The 50 God coming out in game 5 for the Wolves.
Just 50 after 50, and all of them, for the most part, going in favor of the Wolves. I'm really curious where that game 3 Eclipse playstyle is at right now. Because right now, I feel like the Wolves have just all the adrenaline running through them. Akuma taking that ball from the shot by Blue Mage Mikey. Now she has possession. Blue Mage Mikey goes in for a demo, but instead booms that ball towards their side net. Akuma not able to find the back, though. Sends it screaming across the side, right over to Stag. Game Gang gets into the front post, blocks, sends it back to the corner. Stag steals the boost. Game Gang gets deflected, sent off to the air. Double commit and pinched by Squab and Akuma on the Wolves side. Mikey up in the air. Can't make that connection, but Stag might be able to put that shot in. No! Violet Akuma once again. She is the wall.
And I don't want to rag on the Eclipse too much, but it seems like a little bit too much of a solo play offense. That's what's driving their woes in terms of trying to establish possession, because every time you look, you've got one player in the offensive end for the Eclipse, but then you've got 2 players rotating all the way back trying to get their own corner boosts and leaving the middle of the field wide open for the Wolves to not only clear their lines but get away from the offensive pressure that the Eclipse are trying to build. And now with Dulla trying to get one, Blue Mage Mikey is there on their support side, but Stag, they're waiting a little bit too far out at midfield, waiting for a touch from the Wolves. And honestly, with half of the game gone, it's still a one-shot game, but I think the Eclipse are going to have to go a little bit more all in.
Yeah, I think the Eclipse are keeping that momentum, but right now the Wolves seem to have more control going in as well. They're just able to find the back of the net. Crossbar, Gang deflects the save from Stag and sends it right back into the net.
Oh my goodness. I was so interested in seeing how that shot actually played out because I thought the Eclipse might have been able to get away with that. But the fact of the matter is, Gang was there in order to make sure that ball finds its way into the net. And Boston Squad trying to make it another multi-goal lead for the Wolves. Denied for the moment. Gang trying to add to their second goal total in this game. Denied at the goal line, and now it's the Eclipse with a 2v1 opportunity. Can they put it in midfield? Akuma stands tall on that backboard to make sure that they don't.
And now we have Dola tries to center it for their teammate, but unfortunately Akuma's already on top of it. Now Squab steps back. Gang Squab about to double commit there. Gang gets thrown to the side. Stag trying to get another touch to get a center. Both the Eclipse players have stepped back, waiting for that ball to come screaming up field. Now Stag only one up there. Della and Blue Mage Mikey playing around at the half-court mark. Just waiting for a booming clear from the Wolves right now. Trying to maintain control, but feels like Squab and Akuma and Gang have them figured out the entire series right now. Ball heading upfield though. Gang maintains control. Ball heading into the corner with Stag. Stag flicks, but gets in the way of Violet Akuma, who sends it right back to Gang.
Now Blue Mage Mikey trying to take over in the corner. They'll get somewhat of a favorable 50 as it goes into the interior of the field. Dullah off the corner for Blue Mage Mikey trying to put a shot on. It's denied at the 6-yard line. Gang from the corner puts it outfield for Stag, who ends up putting a weak shot on target. In the Eclipse, for all the possession that they're holding right now, it's not really looking too good for the Wolves because that finds its way in and it's a tie game.
Stag in for a buck, stays center, sees Gang go for it, realizes he has a chance to put it on net and just bangs it right into the center. Ties it up 1-1. Great pass out from Blue Mage Mikey, trying to just keep that pressure on. Currently, they are out shooting the Wolves by 1, but you would not be able to tell how strong the Wolves back line is and how much they are pressuring the Eclipse. Eclipse just trying to get one game under their belt in order to prevent this series sweep. But right now, the Wolves feel like they have the entire series in hand still.
They're going to be looking for that opportunity as we pass through 30 seconds remaining in this game number 5. Could be staring down the barrel of another overtime period, but unless Akuma has something to say about that, a dunk at the 18-yard box makes sure that that ball goes top bins, and they give themselves the lead once again.
And just the game sense and cleverness from Violet Akuma, knows that that ball is going to come down, know that Stag is going to contest it, and just challenges it perfectly, wins out on that 50, and it goes in the net as well, just as like an added bonus, an added benefit to take this lead back. And now we got 10 seconds left on the clock. Eclipse got to fire all pistons ahead and block out that shot from Gang. Ball going over the side. Blue Mage Mikey trying to keep it up and high. Gang tries to bring it down. Still in the corner. Stag staying on it. Ball's up high. Violet Akuma sending it center field. Ball's coming down to the ground, and we have a 5-0 series sweep for the second time tonight.
My goodness, and what a way for the Wolves to take advantage of an opportunity that they're given, but the Eclipse darkness sets on their... No, I was going somewhere with that, but they were looking to get at least one game, and unfortunately for them, they weren't able to complete that. But the Wolves get the sweep, like you said, and I have to feel like if the Eclipse were able to get one goal to go through, to get that win in that overtime in game number 3, we might be talking about a different second half of this series. But for the Wolves, they put it in when it mattered most, and they came out on top.
Yeah, the Wolves starting from the bottom, but now we're going to see them rise up. They will be 18-12 in the series, and I imagine that's going to be a huge impact on their division standing, and it's going to shoot them up pretty high as well in the regular standings as well for the Blue Conference too. Absolutely fascinating play. Eclipse just underperforming a little bit and now finding themselves in a bit of a dangerous position as we go get ready for the next week and we get closer and closer to playoffs.
Absolutely right. But the thing that the Eclipse can take away is they've got a lot of film to review. And there were absolutely moments where they could have capitalized on opportunities that the Wolves were giving them. It's just I think they left, again, a little bit too much space in the middle of the field, and they put themselves a little bit too far out of the play in order for them to capitalize on those mistakes. So they've got a lot of time left in the season. They've got a lot of opportunities to take games and points off of the teams in front of them. So I think that they're going to be okay come the ensuing weeks if they're able to take the lessons learned from this series.
Yeah. And with that, folks, we will be wrapping up for the evening, but stick around. Come join us on Wednesday where we recap all the games we've seen so far, at least most of them, on OpenNet, and talk about Play of the Week, power rankings, and how those shift. And folks, don't forget to go check out Guardian Proline, one of our premier sponsors that makes our merchandise, our flags, our hoodies, all from their website. Hit !Proline in the chat to pick up your own Praetorian, Vanguard, Hyperion jersey, or one of the hoodies that they have. Support your franchise. Shout out to the Wolves, the Eclipse, who played so well. Shout out to every team that's played so well this evening and has left such a strong impression as we hit that halfway mark on the season. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And Pi Square, thank you for casting with me as well. Shout out to our broadcaster, Red, and Flump as well for handling tonight, and to all of our match officials. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.